Here they are, your first power rankings of this here IPL, where we look at beyond the points table to check how your favourite team is really doing. Look at injuries, form, who they played, where the games were, and general vibes. If you want a points tables, there are plenty of those around that you can search. But this power list is searching through the looking glass of the IPL. We are searching for these teams' souls. But also today I wanted to look at one thing that is doing better than we thought and another that is doing worse. And this is obviously very early in the season, so everything can change wildly from here. However, in a 14-game season, you have to start somewhere.
If you need a VPN, go Nord. Use nordvpn.com/Kimber to get a 2-year contract with a discount, plus 4 extra months, plus gifts in some markets. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. Protect your computer like a blocker protects the stumps with NordVPN today.
The Chennai Super Kings are 2-1, and let's be honest, a lot of us thought they were going to go 3-0. They won versus RCB at home, they beat the Titans there as well, and their first road game they lost to Delhi. Does that mean anything? I'm not sure, but there's the information. Honestly, I do love how CSK is looking. Their bowlers kept RCB low, and then they outscored the Titans. But what about the Delhi game? Especially because Delhi didn't even have Kuldeep available to them. It's a bit of a mystery, that one. But stock up, I have Mustafizur Rahman. The Fizz is taking wickets early and at a rate not seen since he had a functioning shoulder joint. He took 1 wicket last year from his 2 games and 8 in 8 the year before. And he has 7 in 3 games so far this year. But the other good sign is how good he looks earlier in the innings, because obviously we all know what he can do at the death, but he's a much more important bowler for your team if he can also give you early overs. Stock down, Ruturaj Gaikwad. I'm not too worried about this. 1 score of 46 and 2 failures, but the strike rate of 116 is probably the bigger issue at the moment. He is chewing up a lot of scenery for the lack of runs. Last year, he was hitting at 147. That would be great, but he's certainly not that guy right at the moment. Their next games are away against the Sunrisers, home against KKR, and then away against Mumbai. That Sunrisers game could be a little bit tricky and might end up with them at 2-2. And then another big contest against KKR before hitting the road again against Mumbai. If they'd just beaten Delhi, we'd be pretty confident in them at least being 2-1 in that next 3-game sample. But now it's all a little bit more odd, and you can see your way to them only winning 1 and losing 2. I'm not that worried about 1 loss, especially because the Delhi openers certainly got them off to an incredible start. But still, it's worth thinking about. The Rajasthan Royals are 2-0. They've had wins against Lucknow and Delhi at home. Of course, one of these was against a fairly rancid team, so let's not get too carried away at the moment. But their bowling looks legit, and they won a game with no one in their top 3 making a crack at. They would completely take that as a bonus win. Stock up, well, you could have the entire bowling lineup, but Riyan Parag, I mean, not 1, but 2 decent knocks now. He has 127 runs, which is more than he scored in 2023. It's also more than he scored in 2021. It's also scored more than he scored in 2020. And this all comes on the back of that huge smack campaign as well. So we are more hopeful this time. And maybe better yet, no one is asking him to bowl. I still think there are some issues with his batting, but right at the moment he looks like the number 4 that the Royals have always been desperate for. Stock down, it's going to be the openers. It's only 2 games, and almost everyone else is making runs or bowling well. But their openers, which is a pretty big part of how they actually win their games, have not made any runs yet. Although selling shares in these 2 is a pretty stupid idea. Rajasthan's next 3 games are Mumbai away, RCB at home, and the Titans at home. The issue with the Mumbai game is going to be motivation, because Mumbai has to throw absolutely everything at that, so it should be a tough game. But they are playing pretty poor cricket. I think the most likely scenario based on what we're seeing at the moment is that the Royals go 3-0 here. But even a 2-1 sets up a pretty easy qualification schedule for the rest of the tournament. KKR, so they are 2 wins without a loss at the moment. They beat the Sunrisers at home and RCB away. And of course, because they won away, that means they are the best team in this league. Now, I thought the win against the RCB was really good, and the Sunrisers should have been an easy game for them until they made it very fun. Stock up, Sunil Narine. Sure, it is only 1 innings, but he did win a game with the bat in a year that he'd been averaging, I don't know, was it 4.3 beforehand? 2 more good knocks are more than enough to move him up the list. He's had mixed results in his 2 games with the ball, but if he can be even an irregular match winner with the bat, his bowling numbers only have to be average. Apologies to Andre Russell, who has batted and bowled well so far. Harshit Rana is also probably the biggest stock up, but I think we need to see a little bit more of him at the moment. Stock down, Varun Chakravarti, so the other guy in the spin bowling partnership. Mitchell Starc actually has the same economy and hasn't taken a wicket. But to be fair to Starc, he's going at 12.5 runs and over. I'm not sure you can be fair to anyone once you read out those numbers. But he's bowling obviously tough power play overs and at the death. Chakravarti has got the same economy and he's bowling a little bit in the power play, but mostly in the middle. So I picked him over Starc because last year he averaged 21 with an economy of 8, and he is not doing those things at the moment. Their next games are away against Delhi, away against CSK, and home against LSG. But that away game against Delhi is in Vizag, and they have a home game against LSG. So even if CSK roll them, they should be, or at least could be, 4-1 at the end of this part of the season. And that will have included 3 away games. That is setting up the entire season very nicely. The Gujarat Titans, their record so far is 2-1. They won at home versus Mumbai, they lost versus CSK on the road, and then won at home versus the Sunrisers. Maybe this all depends on how you feel about their win against Mumbai. Because if you think MI are trash, then Gujarat's record still looks just about par. Whereas if you think they're good, then Gujarat's form holds up a little bit better. To me, they still look a Hardik and Shami short of title contending right now, but I think their form is fine. Stock up, I'm going to go Sai Kishore, and I was really positive that it should be him, and then I looked up how much he actually gets paid, and he's probably getting the sort of money he should be for the results he's currently doing. Plus, they've also rested him, which I don't mind, but it does tell you that he's low usage, which again is fine, but you know. But then I looked, and really no one else has done more than what you'd think. Azmatullah has bowled really well, but not made a cracker when batting, so it probably is Sai Kishore. Stock down, Rashid Khan. Last year, the Wizard went at 8 runs and over, but he also took the most wickets he ever has. And I think his run rate went up a little bit because of his use later on in the overs, bowling in the death a little bit more. This year, he's so far going at half a run more, but also averaging 35. Were he to keep that number, it would be his worst mark by 12 runs. Now, I expect him to get better, but there is no doubt that teams are now willing to take him on in a way they haven't been before, especially early on in his spells. And so he could have some very expensive games. I think wickets is definitely the key for him. Their next games are home against Punjab, away against Lucknow, and Rajasthan. Those next 2 games are soft enough. If this is a very good team, by the time they play the Royals, they should hopefully be 4-1. So dropping that game won't mean much at all. And I think if that is the case and they're 4-2, their record will flatter them a little bit. But they won't care because they'll have a plus record having played 3 games home and away. Lucknow Super Giants are 1-1. They lost against Rajasthan away and they won against Punjab at home. The Royals just outscored them, and in truth, they did pretty much the same thing to Punjab. Batting going along fairly nicely, but I do have some concerns about their ability to take enough wickets if they don't score a ton all the time. Stock up, I'm going to go with their pitch. Forget the players, although Krunal Pandya, Mike Yadav and Nicholas Piron have very good claims to be right here. But compared to this newly laid wicket, that has to be the biggest stock up. So far in the IPL, scoring at 7 runs and over has been impossible at this ground. And yet the first match after the new surface, we have runs galore. Even if they don't win a lot of games, the fans will at least get a chance to hand back a lot of maximums as the ball keeps coming into the crowd. Stock down though, I'm going to go Naveen Al-Haq. Look, it's only 2 games, and so let's not end him here. But he is one of the 2 strike bowlers in the side, and is going at more than 10 runs and over, but only has 2 wickets. After the World Cup, he was hot property, and I can see why they started with him. Now that they have Matt Henry, they may look for a different kind of strike bowler, but I think Naveen is worth keeping for the next couple of games, but he's certainly stocked down. Their next matches are away against RCB, home against the Titans, and home against Delhi. A 2-1 record in the next 3 matches is very possible with 2 home games. And for that, they only have to split the RCB Titans games and then beat Delhi. And kind of feel everyone should beat Delhi. The Sunrisers Hyderabad, their record so far is 1-2. They lost away to KKR, they won at home against Mumbai, and then they lost away to Gujarat. Remember, they almost stole the KKR game. And they beat Mumbai pretty easily, but they weren't really in the match against the Titans. So if they had won against KKR, I think we'd feel very different about them. But at the moment, I think everyone's right to feel a little bit nervous. Stock up, Abhishek Sharma. I almost went Cummins here just for the lols. But Abhishek has 124 runs in 3 games, and he's never really been a high run scorer. So that is huge, and he's striking at 2 runs a ball. Of course, most of their players have great strike rates because of the game that they played in. But I do like that he's scoring more runs than usual, and he still has the big boy scoring rate. Stock down, it has to be Bhuvi Kumar. I mean, this should be Rahul Tripathi, but he's already not in the team, and last year he was also pretty poor. So I'm going to have to go with Bhuvi. He's brought up his 50 twice already in this season with a ball, and he doesn't have a wicket yet. At least one of those he can be forgiven for, but back-to-back slappings is not great. He came back in the last match, and last year he went for more runs than usual as well. He went for over 8, but this year he's going at nearly 11 and over. Let's be honest here. This is not your dad's Bhuvi, and that really hurts me to say that. Their next games are home against CSK and then away versus Punjab and RCB. That's that tricky little period because at home they have the tough side and then away they have the 2 struggling teams. So you could argue that if they play okay cricket, maybe they end up with a 3-0 or at least a 2-1 record, but they could also be 0-3. Honestly, I'm not sure how good the Sunrisers are. Maybe the next 3 games will give us a much better idea. RCB's record so far is 1-2. They lost at Chennai, beat Punjab at home, and then lost to KKR. The big issue is probably not that they have a negative record early on, but that it actually could have been 0-3 if Punjab had actually got their act together. Also, they have 2 of their next 3 on the road, and that will mean of their first 6 games, 2 will be at home and 4 will be away. That's quite tough. Stock up, probably Dinesh Karthik. Last year, he was nearly a 0, averaging less than 12 with 134 strike rate, which is quite low for him at the death. This year, he already has 86 runs, so he's almost past the 140 he scored last season. They are getting way more out of him than anyone thought possible. Hell of a swan song. Stock down, Glenn Maxwell. He's bowled well, but his batting has been, I don't know, is curious the right word? His best innings had him dropped 2 times, and he got an early duck, and he just really hasn't gone anywhere at the moment. He can clearly make 150 runs from his next 12 balls, and everything is fine. But it has been a bizarre start. But to be honest, there's a few people I could have had on this list. Faf, Patidar, Siraj, or Alzari Joseph. There are a lot of big-name RCB players struggling at the moment. Their next games are at home against Lucknow, and then away against the Royals and Mumbai Indians. Rajasthan is playing very well, where Lucknow and Mumbai not so much. So if RCB can make it 2-1 from this, I think their season is still okay, especially considering they're going to have a lot of home games at the end. But the Lucknow game could be a really important game for both of these sides. Mumbai Indians, their record so far is 0-2. They lost against the Titans away, and they lost against the Sunrisers also away. They should have won their first game, and the second one was just a weird game that I think we could throw away a little bit there. But I would also say, looking at everything, they probably have, 2 players in form at the moment? Stock up. I've gone with Rohit Sharma, but if we're really being honest here, I could have left this blank. It is only 2 games, but no one has earned this so far. Tilak Varma has done what you would expect of him, and Tim David looks good on paper. But Rohit with a strike rate of 168 is a good start, even if a lot of that is just from one game where he had to whack. Although his stock might just be up because of how bad Hardik has been as a captain. Stock down is Hardik Pandya. He has seemingly ruined 2 left-arm seam options already, demanded the new ball for himself, keeps himself too low down the order when he's batting, sent out Tim David to face Rashid Khan rather than himself, and is going at 11 runs and over and has 1 wicket. Plus, there are already rumours that the team isn't too keen on his captaincy. None of this is ideal. I think we can expect a bounce back from Hardik. The problem is that they might be 0-3 by the time he finds any form or brings the team together. So their next games are home against the Royals, Delhi and RCB. Finally, some home games. The problem is that these games are in the wrong order because the Royals should be the toughest matchup. And so if they lose that, it means they are 0-3. That means they have to go, 9 of 11 to guarantee a final spot from that point forward. And to be honest, the way they are going at the moment, they could easily go 1-2 in these games, and it would still be a very tough road from here on in. The Delhi Capitals, their record so far is 1-2. They had a loss away against Punjab and also against the Royals, but then they won at home against CSK. And let's be really honest, they looked putrid at the start of this tournament, but they were away, Ishan got injured, plus they refused to play one of their openers, which of course is their own issue. But even with this last win, you look at their squad and it's still not massively pretty. However, they beat CSK without Kuldeep. You got to take that. Stock up Khalil Ahmed. Prithvi Shaw almost got this, not for his runs when they finally allowed him to play, but for how much his absence actually made everyone talk him up. But it has to be Khalil Ahmed. Norkia and Ishant have not always been there or good. Mukesh is not safe. And the bonus wickets from Mitch Marsh that they got last year have completely dried up. So Khalil's wickets and a maiden has been absolutely huge for them so far. Stock down, Anarik Norkia. For 2 years in the IPL, he was simply incredible. Since then, he's been an okay striker with a pretty poor economy rate. In 2 matches at the moment, he's going at over 2 runs a ball with only 1 victim. But if you really want to know why he's so low, it was how easily R. Ashwin just slapped him away for that 6. That suggests to me that something is really wrong. Their next games are home against KKR, away versus Mumbai, and away versus Lucknow. So finally they win a game, and then they have a home game against KKR with 2 away games. I mean, if their openers keep going and they get Kuldeep back, 2-1 seems a stretch, but that would keep them in the season. The problem is that these are 3 really tough games. If things don't go their way, they could lose all 3 and that's it. The Punjab Kings record so far is 1 win and 2 losses. They beat Delhi at home and they lost to RCB and Lucknow away. They actually have a pretty tough opening when you look at this, because 3 of their first 4 games are away. However, they did get an easy first matchup against Delhi that they only just squeaked by. They could have stolen the RCB match, but they were never in the game against LSG. Stock up, I'm going to go Harpreet Brar here. I almost gave this to Liam Livingston, but with his recent back injury, I'm not actually sure if he is stock up at the moment. And Sam Curran has had 1 good game with the bat and 1 good game with the ball, but his numbers probably flatter him a little bit at the moment. But right now, no one can beat Harpreet off the square. Even if they are using him perfect, he only has 9 overs in his 3 games. He's just bowling incredibly well. So it's probably a combination of good usage and also good bowling. Stock down though, I'm going to go Jitesh Sharma. Coming off 2 huge years, Jitesh suddenly can't hit the ball. He's probably more of a low average player in general. So I'm not too worried about that. But the strike rate of 110 in 3 games is a concern. Bairstow and Harshal are also big worries, although I did think Johnny looked a little bit better in his last knock. Their next games are away against the Titans and then home against the Sunrisers and Royals. And already it looks like they need to go 2-1 or this is another wasted season. Beating the Titans on the road might be tough, and that means 2 home wins. However, by the time they get to that home swing, they might already be 1-3. But that's it for the Power List this week. Remember to like, subscribe, and tell your neighbour about us. Join us over at the other channel for live IPL videos or at Cricket 8 for live watch-alongs. And if you agree with every single word I've said in this Power List, and frankly, I couldn't see how anyone would not, tell us in the comments by saying, Jarrod, you truly have the power of Grayskull. A lot of people complain that I'm not a former cricketer, and so that I don't really know the game. Well, you know what they can't claim? That I don't know desks. I've been using desks for years. I'm a collector of desks, old and new, and I'm sitting on a new one right now. I'm the Don Bradman of sitting at desks. So when I tell you that the E7 Pro next generation height adjustable desk from FlexiSpot is legit, this is like Michael Jordan talking to you about sneakers. This desk holds 160 kilograms. It is as stable as anything I've ever seen, and it has under-desk cable management. But really, the main skill here is that this desk rises and falls at the push of a button, and it moves super quick. And it has so many settings that remember your favorite heights. It really does it all. And I could not recommend the E7 Pro from FlexiSpot anymore, even though I am currently sitting on one of FlexiSpot's BS12 Pro multifunctional, adjustable, upgraded fabric, ergonomic chairs. My butt and computer have never been happier than when using one of FlexiSpot's products. So get over to their page right now for big savings.